think I've heard of Paper Dungeons.
What does it invoke is the question.
What do you think it is? Is that the one where you can kind of make, I mean, obviously like little paper people. It kind of looks like Minecraft, right? It kind of looks like the environment's really dark.
No.
No?
It's not 3D. It's a
There's
flat...
some game that Kyle Bossman hated because it was like you were in the game but you weren't. It was kind of like Puppet Master where you're or the Puppeteer where you're kind of like creating it in an artificial sense like Little Big Planet, but you weren't.
What?
I'm talking about a separate game. Talk about the game you want to talk about.
Okay.
And then maybe later we'll do the game that I'm possibly inventing in my head.
Yeah. But I mean, that sounds like a really fun game, whatever it is in your imagination. So Paper Dungeons is kind of based off D&D. So it's about dice rolls, essentially. You just, the whole premise is like you're making a dungeon on like a piece of note paper, right? And except that everything is still 2D and flat. But you get to move around and navigate through these dungeons that some are randomly generated and some aren't. But essentially, you go around and you get 2 dice. And you get a whole list of different dice that you can pick. And each dice has a certain roll that is to your advantage and certain rolls that are to your disadvantage. So if you roll something to your disadvantage, sometimes you'll get negative 20% damage to undead enemies or whatever. The other one will be like plus attack. And so it's all really about the dice roll. It's all very, variable for the most part. But it's really quick play because it's just one dice, and then sometimes you do damage, sometimes you don't, and then you dice again, and it allows you to go through very quickly. But the whole thing is you have to play strategically because all of the monsters have different levels. So if you're level 1 and you try to fight something that's level 2, because it's all based on dice rolls, the chance of you winning against that is very, very low. Just like in D&D.
And how am I seeing this? Is it isometric and it's...
It's
like,
just 2D.
It's flat.
Style like? It's all flat. So, it's... if you had a piece of grid paper, and each grid was a little dungeon hole, right?
Okay.
And so you get to go through each grid, and each grid is either a space, or a wall, or a chest, and then you go into that
Do you think the design was more the developers were like, hey, we're more into the numbers and the systems here than the actual like art style, so we're not going to put too much focus on that? Or do you think it has a clear enough style that like this is what they intended?
It's very like JRPG style. They're not quite sprites because they're still rounded, but they still have like those proportions where it's just like a big head, a body, and some things that you recognize as arms. And so, that's cool. I thought it was a very quaint style because it's supposed to be like you're making the dungeon. Like you're just someone scribbling it out for you and you're just playing a little game.
But it was the systems that attracted you more to it.
It was the dice system, really.
Okay.
Because it is just dice, you just don't know what you're gonna get. So sometimes I'll go through a dungeon and I can just breeze through it. Or sometimes I'll meet a monster that's level 1 and it will just wipe me out, like right in the beginning. And sometimes, because it is so randomly generated, there'll be monsters that skip levels. So if I'm level 7, I want to kill things that are level 7 or level 8. But sometimes they'll just skip to 9. And so then you just have to, sometimes there's no hope.
Right?
You're just done.
It's the Dark Souls of dice games.
Kind of, yeah.
How much time have you spent with this? And what is the future for you in Paper Dungeons? Did you just kind of dabble in it, or is it something
I dabbled in it, unfortunately, because, lots of games Dragon Age play. But it's a very quick game to just go through, but there's a lot of dungeons. And then, of course, you get different classes, and those classes have specific dice that only they can get. And there's a long list of dice that you can get also that have different combinations. You can change the dice and everything. So, yeah, there's a lot to do. I would say it would probably work well as a mobile game. I don't know if they actually have a mobile game because I played it on Steam, but it's such a simple and quick play that I imagine myself playing it on my phone just for fun and just trying to see like how many levels I can get into the dungeon. Yeah. So.
I'm darn curious. Yeah, this is something, and this
fun.
is a game that I can check out on my phone.
I don't think it is. I'm not sure.
Darn it.
I don't think so though. I think it's.
I'd have to play it on PC.
Yeah, but it's
well,
worth the
all
play.
right.
Worth the play.
And it's quick.
And it's quick.
And I like those games. PC games that are really quick. Two things that I want to bring up before we wrap up this conversation. One, each time you said the word dice, I pictured Andrew Dice Clay. So I actually pictured like a dragon like going through a dungeon. He's like, hey, like came around the corner. Just because you said the word so frequently. And two, so we don't get comments, a single dice is a die. The one by itself.
Oh, right.
If you're just rolling the die.
There's two dice, though.
Right.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
dice.
There's dice. Yeah.
So it's always, so you never roll a die
You
by
can't.
itself.
You can't roll one die. You can.
Okay.
You have to have two.
I just wanted to nip that comment
You
argument.
only have. You can only have two die.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes a die in a game, if you die in a game, it's bad. But if you roll a die, that's good. So it's just in the RPG, it's
right. But then you might roll the die. You might roll the dice
and then die.
And then die.
Right.
Yeah.
It's tough. There should be, there should be like an appendix, to every GT video where you can just like go through and just check all the terms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
we got it.
And there might be the language barrier sometimes with Japanese RPGs. So I just want to make sure that that's all straightened out. Well, darn it, I want to play this game. I guess you did it. I guess you won. You succeeded. Thanks, Max. Ooh.